Good morning. Welcome to Ask the Experts using LinkedIn for Business. We're excited to have everybody here today. We're just going to wait probably about a minute and let people filter into the room, but thank you for joining us. We have some amazing ladies, obviously, here with us today that you can see. And our partner with STCU and Commercial Banking Manager, Rebecca Dobbs, joining us as well. She will introduce our speakers today in just a moment. And it's Friday.
Yay for Friday.
Yay for Friday. And thank you, ladies, for taking some time and energy and effort to put in this great presentation. We're excited to hear all of it. And I have to let you know, this has been one of the highest attendance registrations for Ask the Experts. So we're really excited to hear what you have to say today.
Oh, that puts the pressure on us, Rebecca.
Right.
Oh, Renee. Sorry, not Rebecca, Renee. See, I've already blown it.
Well, it's 10:33. So I think that we should get going. But again, I want to say welcome to everybody who's joining us today. Please feel free to put your questions in the Q&A box, or if you're on Facebook Live, please put your questions in the comments and we will try to get to them at the end of the Brooks ladies presentations. We're excited to have them today. Thank you so much. I have to say they're not related. We just had this conversation, but it's pretty funny. And but I will turn it over to our partner, a great partner with this program, Ask the Experts. We have had the pleasure of hosting so many virtual events since the start of COVID, and very fortunate to have STCU as our partner. So like I said, we have our commercial banking manager with STCU here with us today, Rebecca Dobbs, and she will say a few words on behalf of STCU and introduce our speakers.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Good morning, everyone. STCU is proud to support this program of Ask the Experts, which provides opportunities for small businesses and employees to learn more. I hope that everyone is as excited as I am to hear from our speakers today. I personally love the LinkedIn platform. I know enough about it to actually get a post up, but I'm really excited to learn some tips and tricks as to how to be more impactful with those posts. So today I have the honor of introducing Renee Brooks and Erin Brooks. Erin's lived in the Tri-Cities for the past 11 years. Prior to that, she led a relatively nomadic life and moved about every 3 years. She attended undergraduate school for the University of Idaho in Moscow, go Vandals, earning her degree in public relations, and is a recent graduate of the University of Southern California's Master of Human Resources program. Her current role is Performance Improvement Specialist and Recruiting Specialist at Lucas Engineering and Management Services in Richland, Washington, but she wears a lot of different hats. When she's not working or being a full-time mom or volunteering, she also loves to travel, is a music fanatic. Her daughter, puppy, and car are all named after, or are musically inspired, I should say. And she can lose herself in a bookstore or an art museum. Her motto in life is, "You only get this life once, so make the most of it." And that she does. Renee is a communications manager for Hanford Mission Integration Solutions, overseeing all of HMIS's related communications and community outreach. Prior to the transition to HMIS, she was a senior communications specialist with Mission Support Alliance, and she previously served as the Director of Government Affairs and Communications for the HBA and as an analyst for both the California State Assembly and the Governor's Office. As a native of Tri-Cities, Renee holds a bachelor's degree in political science from Pepperdine University and a master's degree in public administration from the University of Southern California. She loves to attend concerts, travel, and spend time with her loved ones. Welcome to you both, and thank you so much for joining us. I'll let you take it from here.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thanks, Rebecca. I know Erin and I are both really excited to be here, and we're not related, and we had not met prior to getting set up for this. And so when we discovered we were both also USC graduates, despite the heartbreaking loss earlier this week, just want to give a big fight on. I will say I am rooting on Gonzaga now, so we don't need to get into that. But Erin?
No,
I'm
yes.
going to let you while I get my share screen on.
Okay, as Renee said, yes, this is, we've just both actually met each other when we were approached by the Tri-Cities Chamber to do this event today. And ironically enough, we have a lot in common, and that we're hoping today that we can provide some insight for you as a business person, whether you're a business person of one or a business person that works for a large organization, on some really good tips and takeaway things that you can do to utilize LinkedIn for your business, which I know I am, and I'm pretty sure that Renee is as well. We are big fans of LinkedIn, and there are just so many facets to this social media platform that hopefully we can just share a small nugget of our experience and how we use LinkedIn in our jobs and personal lives to you today. So as you can see, Renee has our introduction. Again, I'm Erin Brooks and Renee Brooks, and we're going to talk to you about using LinkedIn for business.
And I will say that please, ask questions as we go along. If we can get to them as we go, we'll try to get to everything towards the end. But I know I always take as much away from doing something like this from the questions and the interaction and the comments and the conversations we have. So.
Agreed.
Right.
I mean, this is always a great interaction for both of us because it's a two-way street. We're both learning information about what we do and what you maybe have been exposed to. So Renee, do you want me to start? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So we kind of put together why would you use LinkedIn? I mean, there's so many different reasons out there. This is just a small snapshot of some of the reasons why LinkedIn is really a good platform to use for your business. Again, there's 740 million reasons why, and that's just profiles alone that are on the LinkedIn website. There's over 200 countries that are represented. There's 90 million LinkedIn users that are senior level influencers, and 63 million are in decision-making positions. Over 55 job applications are submitted every second on LinkedIn, and there's 280 billion feed updates that are viewed annually on LinkedIn. Some other facts about LinkedIn as to why it's such a great platform is that there are 277% the platform is 277% more effective at generating leads than Facebook or Twitter. LinkedIn saw a 55% increase over this past year because of COVID in 2020, with people utilizing it for lots of different resources and connections and networks. Employees are 14 times more likely to share contact of their employees than any other types of content on the LinkedIn platform. And brands get 7 times more reactions and 24 times more comments on LinkedIn live streams than any other regular video platform. And companies that post weekly see a 2 times higher engagement rate. So those are some pretty substantial numbers that why LinkedIn is such a strong platform to use for your business. And if you see on our wheel here,
it's so true. Yeah, no, I mean, I just remember when we had our intern, an intern who wanted to start our LinkedIn page, and I was, so several years ago, I'm like, oh, sure, I don't think we're really going to use it. And it went from, having 5 followers to, nearly 2,500. And it's been a huge tool for us, both as MSA and now as HMIS.
And as you can see on the little breakout on the pie chart here, these are some of the areas that we're just going to highlight today of how we use LinkedIn, but it is a great resource for networking, which we'll talk about for both professional and business, or personal and business, sorry. A great resource platform. for social connections, for marketing, and also as a recruiting platform.
All right. So while we'll get into all of those in detail, we wanted to share just kind of our top 10 tips. So if you get nothing else out of this whole presentation, here are 10 things you can take away and try to apply to your LinkedIn for business strategy. First and foremost, is build a strong team. I mean, most of us, I'm assuming most of the people on here are small businesses. Even in the Tri-Cities, the larger businesses like HMIS, we do not have a single dedicated person for our social media. Bigger companies certainly do that. And while that's great, it's really important to be able to build that strong team. And it doesn't have to be a marketing person. It doesn't necessarily have to be a comms person, but somebody that can help you with that, can bounce ideas off of. It's really, really important to build that strong team. Number two, make sure you're dedicating time. We try to dedicate time each and every work day to social media, whether it's doing posts, going through LinkedIn, both personally and professionally, commenting on posts and things. Just setting aside a little time each day is really going to help you increase the activity that you're able to do on that. Number three, remain current. You've got to think about what's going on in the world. You don't want to turn a blind eye to things. You want to definitely think about how your posts are in relation to what's going on. You also, I find it really, really helpful to make a schedule. For HMIS, we do a monthly social media meeting where we plan out for the next month. You have to stay flexible. Again, that's how you remain current, because you have to know what's going on. But planning that out really helps you strategize more and to think in advance. And then you're not last minute like, oh gosh, I don't have a post ready for today. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Number five, take risks. Obviously, I'm going to say calculated risk, but you want to take a few risks with that. Try different things. We're always on our social media, all of the platforms, but especially on LinkedIn, trying to find different ways to connect with our audience. And so that does involve some risks in trying new things. As with anything communications related, think outside the box. Try to think of new and different ways to do things. That relates back to taking risks. Maybe it doesn't work, but maybe it does, and you're going to be the next one to be able to write that LinkedIn blog on something that's really cool that people can do. Number 7 is one of my favorite. Create relational content. LinkedIn may be a business platform, but we are all humans, and so creating content that people can relate to on a personal level as well is going to really, really help what you're doing on there. Have fun. It does not have to be, business does not have to be serious. I think if COVID has shown us anything in the last year is that we definitely need fun in the workday, and we need to smile and we need to laugh. So don't be afraid to post some of those things that, we'll post things that we have the other day, Global Recycling Day, or things that are, it's one of those made up holidays, but we can make it fun and we can still relate it back to the work we're doing. So have fun with it. Always be authentic. Don't try to portray your company or yourself on LinkedIn as something you're not. So always be yourself. And then the last one is utilizing metrics. I try to stay up to date on what the algorithms are, what kind of posts are successful, what kind of posts are not successful. The LinkedIn Marketing Solutions blog is actually a really great resource. And there's a couple others that I've found in the last few days. The way LinkedIn does their updates, you'll notice sometimes you'll log in and you'll see something from a week ago. It's not necessarily like Facebook, where you're going to see things, or Instagram from just the last couple of days. You'll see things from 2 weeks ago sometimes from a post. So when you check those algorithms, look at your what your metrics are, I recommend doing it like 4 to 6 weeks out. So if I'm going to look for the month of March, I'm going to wait until mid to late April to really look at those, because those metrics are going to change. And I will say, I've been terrible about doing this recently. We just went through a contract transition, so it's been tough to keep up. But that's high on my LinkedIn and social media priority list, is to get back into the rhythm of checking that, and not merely surviving when it comes to posting, but finding posts that are the most effective and that really portray, business and personal in the best light. So
I think too.
Erin, anything to add on those tips?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I think too, with those tips, something to kind of reflect on with this past year, LinkedIn has been really proactive too, with really trying to up their game and really trying to meet what people are looking for, what people are finding that they feel is an important way to reach either it's business or other employees or other people, groups, organizations. And so you'll see from time to time, if you are on LinkedIn, things that they have done to change their platform as well, to keep always constantly one step ahead of trends or one step ahead of what people are looking for, what's popular. And from time to time, I do get emails, and you might get these too, that they ask for surveys and feedback, so they can constantly grow as you also are growing as an organization or a business or an employer of one, that you are also trying to stay on top of everything that's going on, stay current, stay active, and stay engaged with those people that you want to stay connected with on LinkedIn, which I think is great. And I would always encourage people to actively participate in those, because it is good feedback. It's they want to know what's the public's opinion out there. The other thing I'm going to point out is, as we move along, Renee and I in our presentation, the top 10 tips that we've mentioned here will be something that we'll kind of highlight again in some of the areas that we talked about in the pie chart, that are ways that we utilize LinkedIn in our jobs every day. So we'll move on to the next section. How to maximize LinkedIn. And honestly, we have 5 areas here, but there's probably so many more areas that you could maximize using LinkedIn as a platform, right, Renee? But these are probably the top critical areas, I think, for us. Recruiting, of course, networking, marketing, social, and resources. So we'll move to the next slide.
And the chamber told us we only had a max hour with Q&A, so that's why we limited it to 5. So
yeah. So recruiting is kind of more in my wheelhouse, and I use it a lot. LinkedIn has a lot of great resources to use, whether or not you use it on a free basis, which I do right now, or you utilize tools that they have like LinkedIn Recruiter, which is, if you're a larger organization or a small company that's growing, I highly recommend LinkedIn Recruiter, and I'll highlight some of the features later on. But it is a great platform to seek out applicants if you're a recruiter. And we kind of made up our faux company, Brooks Biz, but this is something that I do all the time. I make up little promo ads that I will post on LinkedIn, searching out applicants for positions that we have within our own company. Going back to kind of some of our top 10 tips, looking at your own company or maybe your own personal profile, always, again, keep everything current, keep everything active, and keep everything truthful, right? You want to make sure that you're representing your best self as your company or representing your best self as a person. If you're looking at as a personal side, and I'm a recruiter, anything that you can do that is an extension of your resume is a plus. And a lot of times as a recruiter, if I get a resume, I will automatically go to LinkedIn to get more information and get more depth on that candidate. So I always say, get endorsements. There's a site on LinkedIn that you can have people that will validate the skills that you have, whether it's public speaking, whether it's technical writing, whether it's a graphic designer. Get people that know you very well, that have worked with you, to endorse your skill set, because that's really a good plus, especially if I'm looking for someone that has to have a particular niche in a field. It's really good to get those endorsements. Always reflect your skills, your training, any certifications that you received, and awards. And if you're getting these throughout your career or your professional development, again, always update this information and make that something that recruiters see that information. Because again, these are standout features. And if we're recruiting for a position and we have lots of applications to go through, sometimes these highlights will really make it easier for us to say, oh, that's exactly what we need for this position. Feature your successes, and they don't always have to be professional. Sometimes things that you do in your private life are great things to highlight because they do relate to your professional development in your career path that you're doing. So if you do something in a volunteer realm, you serve on a board, if you've maybe created something within your company, maybe a new program, that's really great things to highlight as well on your profile for a recruiter to see. Stand out, sell yourself, right? This is a great platform to show the best who you are. When you have a company profile, and as a small company, or if you're a company of one, sometimes, like Renee said, it can be overwhelming keeping that schedule, but always make sure you have a complete company profile. If you have any links to your website or an email, make sure that those are things that are active and they're working and they're taking people to the right locations. Nothing is more offsetting in whatever you do nowadays that there's some disconnect. It automatically turns people off, right? And they see, if you're a company, that you don't really, you're not in your A game, right? You haven't even made those simple tasks execute well. So always make sure that you have a complete company profile. Reflect how awesome you are. Like Renee said, there's things that come up within their company, and there's things that we do too that are maybe outside of the ordinary business aspect, right? But it's so great to reflect that personal side of your company, especially if you're on the other side of recruiting and you're a person looking for a company and you want to submit your resume or submit an interest to that company. As a company, showing your personal side or your community investment or things that you do outside of the box for your employees is really great press and really great public notice for people to see a different side of your company besides you just work in the oil industry, you just work in the nuclear industry. It gives a more well-rounded picture of who you are. So even as a person of one or a company of 500 or 5,000, something you always want to make sure that you're looking at the bigger picture, outside the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
Highlight your business focus, of course. You don't want someone to go to your platform and not have any clue, though, as to what you do. That's also confusing. It's the same with your website, right? You don't want someone to go there and be like, I have no idea what this company does. Because again, that's going to make people turn off quickly and say, game out. Show, like I said, show your personal side and feature sometimes maybe feature your employees, kind of do highlights about your employees. For a little bit when COVID first started, we did Furry Fridays. So I had pictures of our employees working from home and their pet companions that were their sidekicks. So things like that just shows a personal side, or highlight your employees, like awards that they've gotten, or maybe a contribution that they did to the team that was a great business development effort or a great business opportunity effort. Highlight those things for your company. And again, as a company of one, you can easily do these things as well. Going back to recruitment, as a recruiter, I look at LinkedIn both on an active basis. So people that have actively said that they have put on their profile that they're looking for positions, or as a non-active basis, as going through, it's like LinkedIn Recruiter, again, is a great tool. You can really hone down as to specific skills that a person has for their job, specific amount of education, if they've had things published, if they've had things trademarked, if you're looking for those specifics for a candidate. I can even go in there and put in those details and search on candidates that maybe aren't looking for a job right now, but I can contact them and say, hey, I've got this great job at our company. This is a platform that you can really grow your career. And so sometimes that's a great way to make those connections with people. Again, like I said, it's an extension of your resume as well as an extension of your company. It's a way for me also to connect with other recruiters. As a small subcontractor at the Hanford nuclear site, a lot of times if I'm looking for a position and I'm having a hard time filling, I'll reach out to other people within my industry and ask them, do you know of anybody that is a senior designer, mechanical designer? I'm really looking for someone and I'm having a hard time, and vice versa, they'll reach out to me. So it's a platform that I would say don't use it necessarily always as a competitive market. It's a great way also to share and collaborate with people that are within your field, your industry, and kind of pay it forward. It's a great platform to share and try to collaborate with people if you can, especially in the recruiting field. And again, like I said, here's a case in point. We post positions on LinkedIn all the time. And it's a great resource because really LinkedIn is regarded more as an employer profile. It's a little bit more serious oriented, although still have fun. But then using Facebook or maybe some other platforms, people are really out there to represent their professional self, whether it's as an organization or as a person. So I would say for recruiting, it's probably one of the best platforms that I always go to all the time. I'll let you go.
And I'm just going to add on to that then. When Erin said, reflect and show how awesome you are as an employer, we've had such great success with doing that. Some of our most popular posts are when we do employee focuses, where we share what those awards are. We share when an intern receives a cool scholarship. And I think one of probably it sounds silly, but a personal highlight for my career really and my experience with social media was I was chatting with some new employees after a new employee orientation. And one of them said, and this was a couple years ago, oh, you do the social media for the page. And I said, yeah, I'm one of the social media team. And they said, it was two people that knew each other. They said, we knew what you did as a company, but when we went through your LinkedIn posts and we saw who you are as a company, who your people are, what the culture is, how you treat people, the involvement you have in the community, that's what made us want to come work for you. And I just, knowing that the power of that somebody and one of the young ladies was choosing between two different jobs. And she said that was the difference that it made was she got a flavor for who we are as a company because of our social media and because of the type of posts we did. And so that it's huge. It really does make a difference. And it helps you attract those awesome people that you want on your team. So next, so Erin talked a lot about how it is a resource for our recruitment. And then we'll talk a little bit about that networking, both the personal and business networking. For your personal profile, and Erin mentioned this as the business profile as well, make sure it's up to date, promote yourself, list those relevant skills. It's really fun. I see a lot of people recently using their personal profile as a way to ask questions, to get advice, to say, hey, I'm looking for a job in this area. Can anybody recommend a good training course? Get people to interact with you. You never know who you're going to meet, who you're going to get introduced to. It's really, really important that you're interacting with other posts. So both posts of other people and then businesses, commenting, liking, telling someone, thank you for sharing that it really made a difference to you. Those are huge. People like to feel good about what they post as well and know that it's making a difference. When you're posting, highlight companies, highlight other people, highlight organizations. Maybe organizations you volunteer for, that you've worked with, that you want to work with, definitely do that. As Erin had said, you're asking people to endorse you for your skills on there, endorse other people. So take a few minutes each week and go through and endorse. I'm going to go endorse Erin after this for her presentation skills because she's awesome. Chances are somebody's going to return that favor. They see that and they think, oh, that's nice of them to do that. I should do the same. This one is going to sound kind of funny, but it's not. Do not use, LinkedIn is not a dating site. Do not use it. It's not Bumble. Do not use it as that. I can tell you stories offline about some funny stories about that. Utilize it for business opportunities. That's what it's there for, whether you're using it more. You might not be looking for a job right now, but networking is so important and it's going to help you. You never know when it's going to come back and it's going to help you out. So utilize it for those business opportunities and make sure you're connecting with and that you're following those organizations that you care about, the nonprofits, the companies, the interest groups, professional associations, other local businesses, give and take and make sure you're doing a little bit of both. When it comes to the business side of networking, so putting back on as I'm promoting, my company here, be interactive with comments you get on your posts. I'm always going through and liking our comments or liking comments that people have made on our posts, saying thank you, trying to answer those questions. If something comes up that's maybe a little more controversial or somebody's maybe making an untrue statement, obviously you want to take that offline and try to address it that way. Share leadership content, show who your leadership team is, show how other people can learn to be leaders. There's a lot of people are using LinkedIn for that, on how they can improve their own skills. And as a company, you can make yourself very, very valuable by sharing content like that. One thing that I have on my list that I want to do here soon is having subject matter experts write articles about topics that are relevant to their own personal experience to share. So, I want to see our HR team write, just a quick little blog post about how to make your resume stand out and share that. As a company, that's going to make us more relevant and more useful. We're not just sharing about ourselves. We're giving you, the LinkedIn users, tools that you can apply to your everyday life. Of course, promote your company. That's really what LinkedIn is there for, to show the good things we're doing. And then it's also a really great opportunity, and I think the Chamber does this a lot, to find speakers for your events. When I'm looking for a speaker for our women's network, I'll go through LinkedIn, and you can search by keywords, and you're able to find a lot of resources, and you're able to use it for that employee engagement as well, which is key. So, Erin, anything to add on that?
Just a couple of things, and yes, totally agree with everything that Renee said. In terms of when you're making connections on LinkedIn, maybe you see someone that you've met at an event or a social event, and you want to connect with them. I think that's great, and I always encourage that, but I also like to take it a step further and always include some sort of note to that person. Personalize it, make it more engaging. Don't just randomly blanket invite someone to be someone that's in your network on LinkedIn. So usually I might reach out to someone and say, hey, we both went to USC, or hey, I saw that you were at that last Chamber event, or hey, I see that your company is in kind of the same market that we are. So I think that's a nice touch. It makes that network even a stronger connection with whoever you're dealing with, whether it's an organization or an individual. It just personalizes, and it doesn't seem like it's some blanket, I'm just going out there and just trying to up as many people that I'm connected to and have this big numbers game and look at me, I'm super popular. I think especially on LinkedIn, it's so important to be that engaged, that interested and invested contact. So I would always reiterate that whenever you're connecting with someone or reaching out to someone. The other thing too, with utilizing for business opportunities, one thing that I will do a lot of times, again, because we're a subcontractor at the Hanford site, I will go to LinkedIn and use it as a resource and network with people to say, hey, we're bidding on this contract and there's a scope of work for which we're not really the strongest on. But I know that your company is. Would you like to partner on this contract and this proposal together? And we'll put the bid in and we'll see if we win it, and then work together on a future contract at the site or wherever it may be, because we do a lot of work outside of the site. So I would say, especially if you're a small business and you're trying to get your foot in the door, maybe with working at the Hanford site, or maybe with other, Department of Defense contracts or federal contracts or Department of Engineering contracts, whatever, if you're looking at some of those contracts and you know that maybe you fit a small niche, but if you could maybe win the award if you partnered with someone else, I say go back to LinkedIn. Look at those people in your industry, look at those people and reach out to them and see if there is that interest. I've done it several times and it can be quite successful.
And I love what Erin said about sending that personal note. If you're trying to connect with someone on LinkedIn for the first time, and whatever you do, don't make it a sales pitch in that initial note. Make it, we can all pick out when someone is connecting with us merely to try to sell us something. Try to make that personal if you can, find that personal connection. And if you are going to utilize it to try to sell things, don't come off with that right out of the bat. You want to create those authentic network and those authentic connections. And if you start off with hey, I saw you at the Chamber lunch, would you like to come to the sales pitch I'm doing? it's probably going to be a little less effective than you're hoping, and you may actually do the opposite of what you're hoping to do. So.
Exactly. And, you know, we even use it sometimes too as a follow-up. So maybe we'll host an event, or we will, because within Lucas, we have a training and leadership development and organizational development group. So sometimes when we've had events, I'll use it also as a way to follow up with people that attended those events, just to say, thank you for attending. We really appreciate your time. If you have an interest in other things that we may be doing, not a hard sales, but just more of a thank you, and that we are available for other things that may be something of interest to them too. And I think that's always good too, to do that follow up and make that personal connection. And that just increases your networking with people. But again, it has that sincere, that personal, that engaged touch that you're promoting.
For sure. One new feature that LinkedIn is launching is the video profile feature. So I think that'll be really helpful for job seekers. It'll be great for recruiters. It's, you know, in a way, it's kind of that 5-minute elevator speech that you're going to be able to reach out to potential employers, and employers will be able to kind of, you know, instead of, okay, I'm not sure about this person. If I want to interview them, I'm not sure if their skills are right. If somebody has a really great profile feature video, that's going to be a really cool tool, and I'm really excited to see that go forward. So, all right, next up is branding and marketing your company. Erin, I'll have you start.
Excuse me. So again, it kind of goes back to what we've been talking about: your personal profile, your company profile, networking. This all ties into branding, marketing your company, or you. Again, if you're a company of one, or you're a company of 5,000, again, this is a great platform to show who you are. It's an extension of who you are on paper or who you are on your website. It provides a deeper look at what you do, how you're tied to the community, what you stand for. Maybe you have a mission statement that you really endorse. Maybe that relates to your company culture, to the environment, those things. And you always want to make sure that it's always top notch, that you're presenting your best self. Again, you're selling yourself, you're selling your company. So you always want to make sure that your message, your image, your branding, everything is consistent with everything that you're putting out there. Again, even as a person of one, that you're very consistent with what you're selling out to the public, or you're showing out to the public. Some things that we talk about is, we reiterated already, is post consistently. And I know sometimes it can be very overwhelming. And I know even for me, I don't always do it on such a regular basis, but it's such a huge miss if you aren't consistent, because people will start to lose interest if they don't see something coming out from you or coming out from your organization on a regular basis. And make it fresh. Don't rehash the old stuff over and over again. Make something fresh. Make it be something that draws people to want to come back, or to follow you, or to have an interest to what you say, to be interactive with what you're saying, to make comments, to have opinions about what you're saying. You always want to keep posting and keeping yourself on LinkedIn on a regular basis. If you're a smaller company, if you can only do it once a week, that's great. I would encourage you to do that as much as you can. And certainly we'll give out some of our talking points later on too, but there are some strategies too as to what is more successful in terms of what days to post information, as well as times to post information. Use visuals, because we're in a day and an age now that people are very visual oriented. And like Renee just said, that LinkedIn is developing this new video profile because we have become so digitized, especially this past year, right? Here we are, we're having an event and it's on a virtual platform. So use visuals a lot, because people don't want to read through a lot of text. They want quick information, something that draws them in, something that's catching, that seems exciting, that wants them to look at more information that you're putting out there. And it doesn't have to be just photos. You can put charts, that shows statistics, maybe something that you're doing within your company or within your field. People like to see kind of numbers, like where do we queue up, or how do we compare to other things? Use graphs, infographics. There's a lot of different ways that you can incorporate visuals, make videos. There's a lot of different things. And even if you don't have a great budget, there are so many resources out there that you can do to make things that are visually stimulating. Like today's PowerPoint presentation, maybe not everybody has Adobe, but I just did this on Adobe Spark. Super easy peasy, nothing fancy. I'm not a graphic designer, but there's a lot of tools out there that you can use that just give you an extra visual punch on your LinkedIn presence. Create videos, we just talked about that. Videos are always great to see, and they can be just short. You don't want to make anything too long because you're just trying to capture the audience quickly, make them interested, and pull them in to learn more about you or your company. Be strategic when tagging. So make sure that when you are posting an event that you're strategically associating maybe companies or people, that you're not just doing random things. And it kind of goes with the hashtags too. Everybody is hashtag crazy, but make sure that you're using a hashtag that really relates to what you're posting about or your company, or make something that is unique. And you don't have to have a post that has like 10 million hashtags, because it's going to be ineffective. I mean, it goes back to content. You want to have a powerful punch. You want to have impact on what you're saying. And if a person has to read through a bunch of hashtags or a bunch of call outs and a tags, they're going to lose interest. They're going to be like, what am I gaining from this, right? Encourage employees to share.
And Erin, I want to
go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, no, I want to add on the hashtags. If you're thinking of using a new one, make sure you do a little research first to see if it's something that maybe a hashtag that you do not want associated with your company or your person. We've almost gotten into that before, and it can be detrimental if somebody's using a hashtag that does not shed good light on things, or something that's really controversial. So.
And that's totally true. I think there's a lot of positives with social media, but there's also a lot of negatives, right? There's always people that are trying to just put that wrench into the system and do something squirrely. Going back to what Renee said earlier, it's not a dating website, but people do squirrely things like that, as well as make really bizarre hashtags, or they point to something else that is not in the content that you were thinking it is going to be. So do research that information. Totally do that. And when you're doing tagging too, make sure that you're tagging the right individual or right organization or right company, and not someone that has a close name. Always double check that, because that is embarrassing if maybe you've called out the wrong person, the wrong Renee Brooks, right? Or the wrong company. So make sure that you're always, just with anything that you're putting out in the public as a company or an individual, that you're double checking and triple checking to make sure that you have those right associations, that things are reading correctly, that things do look good. Going back to encourage your employees to share and comment on company posts. It's good that you are showing your company presence. It's also just as valuable to show that your employees are invested in your company, that they enjoy working at your company, and that they are promoting your company. They have an investment in your company. So it's always good to get that feedback from your folks, get that interaction from your folks, because that's just another way to endorse who you are and who your company is, because you have employees that are happy, right? And don't make it the same employees all the time too. Make it different people within your organization, because then that people might think, well, it's always Susan Jones or Matt Brown that's always commenting. Make sure you try to get that feedback and solicit that feedback or those shares from a variety of people within your company. I'll let you take the rest of it, Renee.
Sure. So, and Erin had mentioned and you'll have this, but know when to post. LinkedIn does tend to be a business tool. So posting during business hours, and they actually, a recent study, between Tuesday and Thursday, 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. in whatever time zone you're in. You can still post on LinkedIn on the weekends as a business or outside of regular working hours. Just know those are likely going to be less effective, and those posts aren't going to gather as much attention. So keep that in mind. Make sure you're not focusing only on promoting your product. So if you're a company that you do have a product that you're selling, obviously the reason you're on LinkedIn, in addition to probably recruiting, is to try to sell those products and to try to get people to understand what the product is and want to buy it. But it's important that people know who you are as a company. It goes back to that culture, that being authentic, that having a little bit of fun. And you also want to make sure to show people on LinkedIn and to tell them how it's going to make their life better, how it's going to make their life easier. So maybe you're a winery or a restaurant. So how is a winery or a restaurant going to make me as a LinkedIn, my life better or easier? So you can have a little bit of fun with that and still make it professional. And that's promoting your products without just saying, Exhibit A, please buy this. Definitely make it interactive. And we've mentioned it before, but when you're sending messages to individuals, do not make it a blanket sales pitch and don't make it a copy and paste sales pitch. I can pick those out from a mile away, and I tend to quite honestly ignore them or just kind of politely reply, thanks, but no thanks. You see that a lot, and I'm not picking on an industry, but you see that a lot in that non-tangible product industry. So insurance, different things like that, banking products. Make sure you're taking time to connect with people authentically. If they like you as a company, if they like you as a person, they're getting to know you, they're going to be more likely to use your product anyways, no matter what it is. So you're doing yourself a disservice by focusing only on that sales pitch. Sharing customer testimonials is a great way. If I'm scrolling through LinkedIn and I see that Erin has posted something about this awesome product that she found or this great company that she's aware of, I'm gonna be like, well, gosh, I trust her as a person. I trust her instincts. Let me see what's more about this. So not only sharing them on your page, but encouraging your customers to share those testimonials as well would be really helpful. When you're creating your company profile, using keywords, because if I'm going to go through and search for, insurance, making sure if I'm an insurance company that comes up in my profile, it's going to come up in a search. And so making sure you're using those keywords, and you can go a little outside of the box with that as well. So there's life insurance, focusing on just the different types of products you use that you are offering, and having those in your profile is really helpful. And we've mentioned it before, but make sure you're responding to comments. If I take the time to comment on someone's post, particularly your business, it definitely makes you feel good if they go through and like that, or they say, hey, thank you very much. You're getting that interaction, and you're really solidifying that connection as well. And the only other thing I want to kind of go back and hit on is when Erin had talked about the different types of visuals. I tend to be a photo person. I don't always watch videos on social media, but you're not appealing just to me. So you want to have those different types of visuals because you want to appeal to different types of people and the different personalities. I'm less likely to look at a graph, I'll be honest, but I have plenty of friends and colleagues who that's what they're looking for. And a graph is really going to intrigue them and interest them in the company. So you want to make sure you're appealing to your huge wide audience that you have. All right, get to the next.
Agreed. And I would just say, make it appropriate to what your post is. A video might be more appropriate for one thing that you're trying to market or promote, whereas a photo might work more effectively. It just really depends on what you're trying to strive for. The audience is a large audience, but kind of what may be the messages that you're trying to send to your audience. So social media, it is still social media, right? I mean, it's not maybe Twitter, it's not Facebook, it's not Instagram, but it is a social platform, and maybe more on a professional level. So be social, interact with people, whether they're your peers, people within your industry, people that you're looking to recruit, organizations, nonprofit organizations, clients, college classmates. Be social, always be, even if you're not doing it maybe for a business strategy, I think you should, as a person, always try to stay connected and be social. And even, LinkedIn has this thing where things pop up all the time, and it's like, oh, it's so-and-so's birthday, or it's their 25th anniversary with this company. I always send those, but then I also send another little note like, hey, how are you doing? Or that's awesome that you've been with this company for 25 years. Or, happy birthday. Are you doing anything, fun today, even with COVID? It's again, just extending just that canned response or that canned, reply to someone or that canned introduction to someone. It's making it personalized. It's making it an engaging situation. And it's really such a small effort, but it can go such a long way. And it can really just multiply on so many different realms, whether it's to get information, whether it's to make connections, whether it's to promote your company, promote your cause if you're a nonprofit organization, whether you're trying to start your own company. It's just a great way to just stay connected. I mean, there's nothing to be said about the personal interaction and live interaction, but we don't always have that nowadays. So utilize the best that you can and make it as personal as you can and as interactive and as you can when you are socializing on LinkedIn. And to add, Renee?
Let me get to the other page. All right, so of course there's a lot of great resources within the platform of LinkedIn. They have a lot of awesome training opportunities. A lot of those are free. So whether, and they're targeted both towards businesses and individuals. So look into those opportunities. And I've taken a few of them myself or, watched videos and things. They're really valuable. I wouldn't discount those. I would definitely look into them. There's different certifications that are offered. You can find great industry information. You can connect with industry leaders. You can find other subject matter experts. As we mentioned before, getting feedback on something. So sometimes maybe it's as simple as, you're thinking about a new product or you're thinking about trying something different for your business. LinkedIn is a great opportunity, and you're not going to get the, I'm going to call it, the judgmental Facebook comments as much on LinkedIn. You're going to get genuine feedback, people that are thinking, okay, I want to help this business succeed, so I'm going to give them some feedback on that. Articles, blogs, if you're having an event, including a virtual event, LinkedIn is a great place to promote that. Any research you or somebody in your company have done, it's a really great opportunity. There's so many resources out there. And again, even if you're a company of one, if you're utilizing just a couple of those resources, each and every month, you are going to see huge dividends as you go forward. So I think we're getting towards the end. So, it is. We'll have Elizabeth come back, I think, to see if there's any questions.
Yeah, so thank you both so much. I mean, I'm so proud to call both of you friends, and thank you for spending your Friday morning with us and preparing all this great information. We did receive a couple of questions, and it looks like we have a few minutes. And so I had one come in that said, can you talk a little bit about influencers on LinkedIn? It seems more popular with other platforms like Instagram, but is it worth it on LinkedIn?
Yeah.
I think we're both kind of given the semi head shake.
I see it as just like a trend with everything else. It's something that is popular. I don't see it as much on LinkedIn as I do, say, on Facebook or Instagram. Honestly, just my 2 cents on LinkedIn. I think your influence is really more holistic. It's really more of what is your expertise? Are you a subject matter expert? What does your company provide in terms of services? Or what does your company provide in terms of community efforts and involvement? I think those are more the influencers. I don't see it so much. Every once in a while, I'll see something come through, but typically for me, I don't really buy into it. I mean, I just think it's just one of the things that, everybody's trying to cycle new things and make things exciting. And it's just kind of that new trend, I guess, to follow. I don't know, Renee, do you have anything more to add?
Yeah, I think the Tri-Cities is unique in that it's probably not as important if you're in a much bigger market, if you are in a much bigger industry that, you have hundreds of thousands of employees and hundreds of thousands of people involved in that. it might be worth it for LinkedIn to look into
Sure.
being an influencer or a micro influencer. But I think in the Tri-Cities, we're such a tight-knit community, despite the fact of how much we've grown, that if you focus on those, those really strong and authentic connections with people in the community, I think you'll be better off spending your time focused on that.
Agreed. Yeah.
My
I
two
totally
cents.
agree. Yeah. No, and I think it depends too on maybe your industry. Totally piggybacking on what Renee
Yeah.
said. I think if you're in a larger area and maybe you're in marketing or public relations or advertising or a new industry, I think maybe being an influencer on LinkedIn would be critical. You want to stay at one step ahead. You want to be on that cusp. But I agree with Renee. I just don't think right now in the Tri-Cities, who's to say? But that LinkedIn is really that platform for most people.
Well, thank you. And I
And
couldn't
great
agree.
question.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next question that I would have to ask, if you had a number one tip to give to people, both personal and for your business, managing your LinkedIn, what would that be?
Ooh. I think for my business one, it would be to make it personal, to give that human empathetic side. Like I said, those are some of our most popular posts, whether it's pet posts or whether it's featuring an employee. We get the best interaction. And I always joke on Facebook, there's a lot of like moms and grandmas that when we do those, we get lots of interactions on there. On LinkedIn, it's more of that collegial, it's people from other Hanford contractors that are commenting on things. It's other people in the Tri-Cities. And it's a great way to showcase who you are and to really have that personal side while maintaining that professionalism. For my personal profile, number one tip, and I probably need to be better about this, is be active on it. If I'm only logging in once a month, I'm not utilizing the tool to its full potential.
And I would agree. I think, again, being that we are in such a more virtually dominated world as a company, I think, staying current on LinkedIn, but also showing an extension of who you are and making that something that is relatable to people, something that makes people think either that's a company I want to work for, that's a company I want to work with, having that relational aspect, that personal aspect, that you're not a used car salesman, and not to insult anybody that's a used car salesman, but that you actually have a little bit more depth to you. Personal, I would say, again, you keep current, have a LinkedIn profile. As a recruiter, I am always surprised when people don't have a LinkedIn profile, or they merely have that really squirrely icon that LinkedIn makes for you. That's just your image, head, shadow. And then they don't populate anything. So as a recruiter, again, a lot of times when I get a resume, I go right away to LinkedIn and I look and see what other things can I garnish from this personal profile that I'm not getting from a resume. And sometimes if a person's giving me a resume that's 5 pages long, it's so much easier for me visually to look at that information on a LinkedIn profile. So have a LinkedIn profile, keep it current. Certainly, it's your platform to premiere you and sell you. So sell your accolades. I mean, not that you want to be narcissistic, but sell your greatest assets, right? Promote your best self. And I think that LinkedIn is a great platform. So make sure that you do keep current, that your information is correct, that your information is accurate, and it reads well too. Just and make it have information, but don't have it be overloaded and heavy too. It's like the thing with social media is you want to draw people in, you want people to read what you have to say, but if there's just too much information, people are going to tune out, right? To make it short, sweet, punchy, and something that's interesting, engaging, that people are drawn and want to come back and look at, whether it's your company or your personal profile.
Awesome.
The other one I'm going to add to that is have somebody proofread both your personal and your
yes.
business profiles. So I'm a communications professional, but I will, your mind sees what you want it to see, what you think it's supposed to say. So have somebody proofread both of them and do it often as you're adding content. So.
And it's good to have that other set of eyes, because sometimes what you think might sound clever or look good, another person might be like, whoa, that is not appropriate, or that doesn't read right. So I think that's great advice for anything that you post, Renee. That's perfect, because it is always good to have a fresh set of eyes, look at it from a different perspective than what you're constantly seeing.
And if you're a company of one or you don't have the team to do that, that's when you turn to other industry professionals, when you turn to, somebody on LinkedIn and, hey, I'm thinking about posting this, but it's a little out there. Can you give me some feedback?
Totally. Network.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree. When you're reading your own things, you can totally miss the simplest thing. One more question that I'm going to ask you, and then I'll let you go. I know that we're going a little bit over time, so I apologize, but you addressed this a bit in your presentation, but talking about consistency. So how often would you recommend, both, I guess, personally and professionally, posting to be consistent?
At bare minimum, I would say every week. But go ahead.
And depending on what your goals are as a company, I would say you want to shoot, a better goal would be even twice a week. But like with anything, start small. If you're only posting once a month right now, make it your goal to post once a week then. Once you get to that and you get in a good rhythm, then try to add more content in.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Personally, I need to utilize it more. I post every couple of weeks is all, or I'll share something.
And it is. I mean, it can be overwhelming and daunting. And like Renee said, they were just involved in a big transition. We also have been a part of some big transitions. And sometimes those things get by the wayside. But, I look at people that are consistent with their posting, and they're the ones that stand out the most. They're the ones that I remember. And that's what you want to get to, that level, right? So if you have that consistency, you keep that schedule, then people are going to always say, oh yeah, Renee, yeah, she had some great insight on this area, or she had some good feedback. And I think it just, it's that repetition, people remember who you are, right? The more that you're out there.
And you can do it a lot more easily now with the LinkedIn stories, which again is not something that I've utilized much, either personally or professionally, but that's one more way to reach folks. And it's easy to do on the go. It takes less planning to do something like that. So.
Well, I think this is some great information. Thank you both. It was a pleasure to have you this morning. And as you can see, both Erin and Renee were gracious enough to share their information. So thank you so much. This was a great presentation. This will be on our Facebook and on the Chamber's YouTube here shortly. But ladies, amazing to have you. Thank you for your time. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend. And again, thank you to STCU for being our partner with Ask the Experts. They've been really, really gracious to offer this to the community. If you have any topics that you are wanting us to feature, please feel free to shoot the Chamber an email. Again, have a great Friday. Thank you all for joining us today.
Thank you. Thank you everyone for being here.
Bye.
Thank you.